In this video, I want to give you guys a really practical step-by-step guide on how to de-sex your mind. Now, what does it even mean to de-sex your mind? Well, most Christian guys struggle with lust. And I would say for the vast majority of guys, lust is an S-tier sin. Maybe for some of you out there, it's an A-tier sin. And for a very, very, very tiny minority of you, maybe it's a B-tier sin. But I think for the majority of us Christian guys, we can all agree that lust is at the top, or it's at least in our top 3 most difficult sins to overcome. But there's actually a way to make this battle easier to fight. And it is through this process of desexualizing your mind. Now, this is not just something I made up. This is completely biblical, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. But before we get into that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I want you to be a part of this family. We have tons of videos coming out about being a man of God, overcoming lust, relationships, dating, marriage, and just learning more about the Bible. So we want you guys here. Make sure you're subscribed. Drop a comment. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let's get into it. So in order to desexualize our mind, we first kind of have to understand how we got here. And ever since you and I were little kids, our brains have been taught to think a certain way. If you grew up in a Christian home, then your parents taught you about Jesus, and that's influenced how you now understand the Lord and understand the scriptures. Others of you grew up in a household that was maybe right-wing, or some of you grew up in a household that was left-wing, and that influenced the way that you think about politics. Maybe you followed your family's footsteps, or maybe you broke completely away from your family and went a different direction. Either way, that upbringing had a dramatic impact on your brain. Well, what most of us don't even realize is that ever since we were little kids, we've been taught to think a certain way about sexual appetite, about women, and the role of sexual desire in our lives. And this process of indoctrination by the world didn't even start off as sin on your part. You were probably just 5, 6, 7 years old watching television, and you might have seen an advertisement. Perhaps the advertisement was for undergarments. Perhaps it was for skincare. Perhaps it was for some kind of fitness thing. But what you didn't realize at that time is that many of the tactics that were being put in front of you used sexual appetite and desire to sell a product. And you, as a little kid, didn't even notice it, and you moved on with your life. No sin on your part, but those images and those tactics were still burned into your memory. Now, for some of you, this turned into a pretty serious addiction or sin. Some of you are trapped now in lust because of the promiscuity that was awakened inside of you through these things that you saw. It is now developed into a sin that you can't escape from. Others of you have avoided that trap, and you're not living in any kind of like addictive or habitual sin regarding lust, but still the influence of the world has impacted you, and you probably don't even realize it. Now, this is not to take the responsibility off of us and say, oh, this was just something that was done to me. Regardless of what was put in front of us against our will, God still holds us accountable to do what we can now, given that circumstance. And so this by no means absolves us of the responsibility to flee from lust and to reject those sins. God still holds us to that standard, but I'm using this to simply show how our minds are overly sexualized, sometimes in ways that we don't even realize. So what do we do now? Now we're adults or we're teenagers, and regardless of what happened in our childhood, we are now responsible to overcome this sin. So how do we do it? Well, I want to show you guys something that you've probably never seen before, and it's called the lust pyramid. This is the lust pyramid. This bottom row here is just all of the sexual temptation that you didn't ask for, but the world is giving you anyway, okay? This is the people that you see out in public that you have to refrain from lusting after. This is the advertisements you see on television. This is the, in-feed ads on your social media. This is, your For You page that you didn't intend to go that direction, right? This is all the stuff you didn't ask for. It's just your environment the world throws at you. The next layer here, this is the stuff that you seek after, okay? This is like, I typed this in on Google. I searched for this. I went to this place. I did this thing. This is the stuff that you search for. And then finally, this very top part here, this is like the manifestation of that sin. This is your pornography addiction. This is your masturbation addiction. This is all the stuff that comes from these inputs below. Now, everybody tries to attack the lust pyramid by just stopping their addiction, stopping the sin, stopping the manifestation of all of the temptations, all the inputs. They try and remove the output and just focus on that. But that's not the issue, guys. That is a symptom of your inputs. So to desexualize your brain, you guys want to be attacking the foundation first. Your pornography addiction, your masturbation addiction, that is all just a symptom that is built upon a foundation. And guys, if you remove the bottom part of that pyramid, the other two will fall down way easier. So I want to give you guys just a few really practical steps. And again, these are only temporary steps, okay? These are temporary things to help you remove that foundation and desexualize your mind. If the advertisements on television, the social media, the in-feed ads, the For You page, the music that you listen to, if all of that is what caused the over-sexualization of your brain, that's the first thing that needs to go. So, for a time, get off of social media. Stop scrolling through YouTube. Stop listening to secular music. Stop going to the parties, to the beaches, to the places where you continue falling into sin. Remove all of the background noise that is creating this overly sexualized mind that you're now stuck with. Imagine that you're outside playing a game like Marco Polo or something, but you're doing it in the middle of a hurricane. You can't hear anybody because of all of the background noise. But if you remove the background noise, you can all of a sudden pinpoint exactly what your next move should be, what direction you should go, and what you should do. And this is a problem that a lot of guys run into when they're trying to overcome lust, is they have so much background noise, background temptation, constantly inundated with lustful thoughts and lustful temptation, they don't even know what the next move is because they can't catch a breath. They can't even come up for air. So remove the background temptation first. This is the sexual detox of your mind. And once you remove that background temptation, it'll be so much easier for you to not purposefully seek out lust, which will then also make it easier for you to not stumble into your addictive behavior. But guys, I want to go one step further here because I don't think it's just enough to detox our mind from background temptation. I actually think that we must replace it with something. Here's why. Think of it like a fast. If you just chose to not eat for a day, what's going to happen at the end of that day? You're going to be starving. And you're far more likely to binge eat and have actually done worse than if you had just never started fasting in the first place. This principle also applies to desexualizing your mind. If you just fast from all of these background temptations, if you give up the phone, the TV, the music, if you give up all that stuff, you're going to find yourself in a really desperate and hungry spot, and your flesh is going to want to cave. And when it does cave, you might fall into the worst sin you've ever committed before. And I want to keep you guys from that. So here's what you've got to do. You can't just remove sin. You have to replace it with something of equal and opposite power. Remember that. Equal and opposite power. What exactly is that going to look like? Well, okay, let's just give some examples. Maybe instead of scrolling on your phone before going to bed each night, you decide to read 5 chapters of the Bible. Maybe instead of going to this place or that place, you decide to go to a Bible study or host one yourself in your own house. Maybe instead of listening to that band, you don't just cut out music, but you find something that actually feeds your soul. Some music that actually draws you closer to God, not pulls you further away. And this is not just my idea, guys. This is in the Bible. Romans 12:21 says this: "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." You see, the Bible is teaching us that it's not just enough for us to not be overcome by evil, because that's not a long-term solution. You can't just take out this bottom piece and not replace it with anything and hope that that's just going to be a long-term solution. Something has to fill that gap. And the Bible says that you overcome evil with good. You replace evil with something of equal and opposite power. The opposite of evil is good. So the homework for you guys on this video is identify all of the background things in your life that are bringing you into sin, that are starting the process of you climbing the pyramid up to the actual sin that you commit. I want you guys to go so deep on this. Try and find every single thing that is trying to sell you sexual appeal, sexual desire, or trying to increase your sexual appetite. And then replace each and every one of those things with something of equal and opposite power. And this is how you successfully desex your brain. And that puts you on a path away from sin, but not just away from sin, toward God. I hope that this video helps you guys. Again, subscribe if you're interested in seeing more like this. Would love to have you guys around the channel. You guys are a part of the family. Talk to you soon. Drop me a comment and let me know if the video helps you at all and what your thoughts are. See you next time.